The lowest time preference individuals concern themselves with eternity.
You know, the rabbit hole also never ends when you look inwards at your own corruption and sin.
When Kennedy was up there quoting Lowry, that had me and my buddy Mike tripping.
I think Trump is probably going to embrace Bitcoin.
This is the but maybe chart.
I thought the bond market was going to collapse 80%. I think if you're viewing things priced in Bitcoin, then that starts to shift the conversation from greed to fear. Omega candle kind of stuff is from fear, not from greed.
The 4-year cycle is mostly a psychological phenomenon. Once most of the economic energy has come out of your network, it's like 30% in, 50% in, it's like boom, it happens slowly and then all at once.
You know, one of the things unique about the Titanic that was so tragic about it is that they had so much time to actually get people to lifeboats.
It's this weird thing that happens when price rips. I like get sad. You want to use the absolute minimum necessary force. You don't want to like whack people over the head with something. If we were on the Titanic and you were listening to the orchestra in the theater, I would like throw you over my shoulder and drag you out.
I think it's okay to accept that most people, when they hear things they need to hear, it's not what they want to hear, and so they're not going to listen to it. If Americans were to zoom out and realize what's actually going on, that's essentially what we're doing with fiat money. That means that we've effectively stolen from the developing world and imported it to the developed world without actually having to move raw materials.
Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the best proxy for power is money. When you give somebody limitless access to unearned power, you give them limitless corruption. If we so choose as a human collective to take that one ring of power that is the money printer that people use to subjugate others rather than to engage in play, engage in consensual relationships, we have the opportunity to cast it into the fires of Mordor by adopting Bitcoin. Or if we're not oriented properly, we could miss it. Who's to say that we couldn't have a digital dark ages, so to speak?
Working in Bitcoin is like fighting World War III 30 years before it happens. Probably over the course of the next 20 years, you know, we're going to have 100 million people die from fiat inefficiency that don't have to die.
If we're able to get through this fourth turning without that violent conflict, the probability of that is very low, you know, from a historical perspective, but I think we've got the best shot at it of any of those times right now. So there's that responsibility that we have, and the sooner the better, man. People talk about Bitcoin wasting energy, and it's like, listen, if the electrical energy put into this can be a substitute for bloodshed that we've previously been using to establish the chain and custody of scarce resources, then like, this is not a waste, man. There's a lot of things Bitcoin doesn't fix. How do you personally guard against Bitcoin becoming an idol in your life?
I do everything I can to stay on the path, right? So when you try to tell someone about Bitcoin, really what you're saying to them is I love you in a indirect orange way.
So for people who are newer to this, you know, you haven't missed it.